Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss all things to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to make some or a lot of money on the internet. Loaded up discussion today. We've got the crypto chop continuing. Bitcoin is at 91K at the moment. Crypto exchange Kraken revealed a $20 billion valuation, raising 800 million with a Citadel strategic investment. We'll get into those details today. And we'll also look forward to Nvidia earnings today. Feels like that's the main headline of the day. Brett will take us through the recent details of an Nvidia, Microsoft, and Anthropic strategic partnership. So we'll touch on all of those things during the course of today's show. We've got the latest on price action on all things as well, and our general thoughts on the market. So stay tuned for that. I've got Legendary and Brett in the co-host seats with me today. We're ready to get into it, but just a reminder, friends, before we do, nothing that we say here is financial advice. The market is very, very risky. We do not know anything for sure, so please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Legendary, it is Wednesday. It's the 19th of November. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Jim, I'm doing quite well. I'm excited to have Brett with us on the show today. It's been some mega news, so I'm curious to hear his perspective on that. But I've also noticed that once again, the modern market Telegram chat is turning into pet sharing, into cute doggos, cats. Drew, who's doing clips for us, is going on his cat KOL arc. So the last time we had this pet sharing was, I think, around October 10th. So that is a bit of a bearish signal that we are going in this direction. But undeniably, it's extremely cute to wake up and scroll through.
No, this is the lagging pet indicator. The previous pet indicator was the leading pet indicator, and you've got to be able to distinguish the two. When we realized last time, these are the leading indicators of an upcoming sell-off: pets, health, gym, and maybe that's it. Maybe that's it for now. And prioritizing sporting activities. You might say, well, you should be able to do that all the time. Well, we don't. We sacrifice those things sometimes. So if you see an uptick in any of those activities prior, that's what's going on. Now, the fact that some of those, the sell-off has happened, people realize, oh, there really is less to do now. There are less buttons to click. Now we should probably share our pets again. So this is the follow-up. Ledge, what do you think of that?
I like it. Also, the fact that I'm about to get sick is definitely a good indicator as well, because my body is not getting sick when there's buttons to click. So just
withdrawal.
The fact,
like a crack addict, you're a button addict, and if you can't, your body doesn't get your muscle memory is telling you that your body is failing, basically.
Exactly. So I can fall apart.
Okay, so that's where we are on that respect. So things are obviously, settling into a new price position here, which means that some of the air has been taken out of the market, and people are just going to have to settle in for a new price point, and there's going to be fewer buttons to click for a while. Unsurprising, as we said, after October the 10th, when the market was where a lot of people were cleared out, I think. And maybe we still don't know the full details of who was cleared out in those humongous liquidations on that day. So it's going to take some time, I think, to go through that. And the broader economy is not looking very good. In general, a lot of job losses, a lot of challenges I think the economies are facing, and the prices are already really high, and everyone just feels a bit like things are a bit too high at the moment, and some air might need to continue to get taken out. But wanted to go on, Ledge.
You wanted to go to Brett as well, but English is actually also asking the important questions in the YouTube comments. English is saying, why does Brett look like he just got out of jail and might hurt someone? Brett, any explanation for that?
We're on the road, so we're running minimal. We're one bag in it. I got my computer screen going here. You're operating from my earpods. We're doing it on site. for Mega. The announcement came yesterday. It's saying that, you know, mainnet is dropping in December. So we're in locked in mode, trying to reduce some iteration loops. We're hanging out. We're yeah, we're battening down the hatches, as one might say. A pirate might say.
Sounds pretty fun. Sounds pretty fun. So do you want to, what's, how's that feeling, Brett? I guess you've only just got to where you are now. The plans to just be there for a while. What's the feeling like? Obviously the market's kind of had some air taken out of it in general, not just the crypto market either, right? Just the general market has felt a bit, has been struggling. How's things your side?
Yeah, as a market participant myself, I also had air taken out of me. And by
What
that, I
happened
mean,
to the leverage account?
Yeah, she's gone. At least I believe so. I actually haven't opened it because I've been so busy, and I know my things were not doing great.
Brett, the thing
So
is, I think you actually wanted it to go. I think you want these things to happen.
yeah, I got, you know, I'm guilty of stretching these things a little further than they probably should have went. So, you know, uh, things happen. You just take some lessons. You know, I think I'm better prepared for the future now. I literally just have not looked at it because I know it was heading towards my liquidation level, and I go, market's not recovering. It's like I got to focus on other shit. I got to lock in. So I've been locked in on the mega stuff, and I was like, I'm just not going to open it. And if I don't open it, you know what? Maybe in a month or two, I'll open it back up, and we'll be green. We'll see.
You paid your tuition. That's how I like to
Yes.
think about it. And to be fair, I paid some tuition as well on the leverage side, and I really do think my leverage account is now green again, which is great. There was definitely in a similar way, I think when the market was good, this is like me talking as a diary of me trading on leverage for the first time ever, right? It's the first cycle I've ever done it. When the market is good, you just get so cavalier. I was like just putting on random longs, and then 2 or 3 times, I would say, with decent, not like crazy size, but like reasonable for me, where it's not nothing. Or certainly should not have been treating it like nothing. And I was just getting liquidated left and right a few times. And then the market kind of tightens up. And oddly, when the market tightens up, you then tighten up as well. And you start to, when really actually you should be applying that same discipline at all times in the market rather than just going cavalier just because you're making money in other places. I think that's like a really important learning where if you're making money in other places, sometimes you feel like you've got money to spend and money to lose, and you can be more risk on in the same way in a sense where it's like, okay, I made a bunch of money and I bought the hypercat. In the same way, it's like, okay, you make a ton of money and right, just throw 20% of it on leverage. It's like, no, don't do that. Be as discerning as you would be in a tighter market. And then I've made it back, and now the account is green. And the thing I've realized recently, I know people in the Telegram chat and people on the show know I've just continued to short ETH and a variety of things. I shorted it once at like 4.1 or 4.2. I think I had it on from higher at one point as well, and then bottled it because I just didn't believe in it enough. Because I've first cycle I'm shorting stuff, so kind of figuring out the right amounts to do. So I had it on from there, had another one on from like 3.6, had another one on from 3.2 at different points in time. And I've just closed them all recently again. So I've kind of learned that unless you're going to do it with more money, the risk rewards actually, in the same way that we said, like the risk reward of holding the assets at like 110, 120 Bitcoin was like decreasing because we're up so much. In the same way, now that the air has been taken out of ETH from 4.8 to 3.1, the risk reward on the short now is way worse than it was than I got in the first one at like 4.5 or something. So now you've got to think, okay, well, what size do I need to make this worth it? And then you start to run some numbers, and it's like, well, okay, I don't know. Given how much the market's chopping around, it's really hard to call this. Some people are bullish, some people are bearish. Like I decided I played around, I've got the account green again until I find a better position or some deeper conviction in one direction. I'm not gonna chop myself up here. Thoughts on that, Brad, as a fellow leverage learner, maybe this cycle? Then want to hear from Ledge before we get into the main stuff.
Yeah, I'll go through my. So one, I mostly agree with your positioning. Two, just like my general learnings have been that even though I'm not a trader, obviously we are all exposed to traders and trader philosophy on the timeline just because there is so much trading going on. And the funny thing is you sit there and you see people say stuff that are seasoned traders all the time, and then you don't really learn it until you get burned.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Yeah, you have to do it.
I am now circling back to the things that I know I've seen a gajillion times over the last 5 years that I've been in the industry, which is just like, make sure when you enter in a trade, you have an exit strategy, you reevaluate, you write stuff down, you like all of those things. Because I was actually pretty wildly successful. Not wildly, but like pretty successful on both accounts because I was doing it out of two, just like moderately, just like compartmentalize them. And both of them were up, I don't know, 100%, 150% over several periods of time, just like slowly building it up. And these are like closed trades growing. And then all of a sudden one bad trade blown up, gone. And it's just that was the trend for both of them. You keep going right. And just like you said, like you just keep turning the dial up, and just like let things keep going. And then because of the nature of the vehicle, like, yeah, it just takes one wrong call and then it's gone, which is what happened. Like one on the liquidation day and then one recently.
100%, and that's where was what my thinking was now, where it's like, okay, I've got the account green again, which is great, and again, so this is on the perp side, right? Obviously, we've been trading other stuff on spot and done well this cycle. Perps is like a new thing we've added to the kind of game this cycle. So the account's green. I was like, okay, well, how much do I need to risk now in order to make this thing meaningful? And it's just way higher than you would have liked, based on, especially when you know where the price has just come from, when it's down from 4.8 or whatever. So Ledge, curious for your thoughts as well on the kind of perp activity. It's certainly not going away, so it's good, I think, in some ways that we've all learned or paid our tuition in some respect in this, because it's definitely not going away, and I'm going to continue to use it as like part of the toolkit of navigating these markets. So what's your learnings and perspective?
Yeah, good question. At the moment, I'm not perping at all. I liked it when we got to a point where I wanted to short the market, but as you said, like now that the air is out a bit, I just don't like the risk reward of that anymore. I also realize it takes way too much time to constantly have trades on hyperliquid on, and there's like still attractive enough things to do on spot. Thing I did yesterday, which I also had posted on the timeline, was we had seen that massive wrecked double crash after liquidation cascade. Bought that almost recovered. Like that's a nice free, if you want to trade out of that, depending on where you get in, free 30, 35-ish. If you get in later, 25-ish% that you can take on a day, which is, and it allows for somewhat reasonable size, I would say. Obviously, it's not a trade that you can put in a mill and take out 1.2. Or 1.3, but you still can do it with decent size. So that is what I like more. English in the YouTube comments is also saying, to you, B specifically, that you said you didn't like the risk reward of still being short. He's saying you can short weaker alts, large cap memes, L1s without much adoption. True, but also you need to find the liquidity for that if you want to do that with a meaningful size. And it's just not what I want to do. What I want to do right now in this market.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I think the thing that I am cautious of in this type of a market now is just that. So from here, this is me rambling and just making up numbers and going on my instinct. I was like decently convicted that we were going to go lower from wherever we were, higher in the 3000s. Now that we're here, I can just, and because the market feels so random at the moment and everyone seems so scrambled on it, I could just as easily see now us go back to like 98 on Bitcoin. I think 100 will be the new resistance, but I could see us like just go back to retest it before we then go much lower again. And so it's not that I don't think that those things can go lower. It's just that I think I could see us going higher before we go lower, given that we've dipped, that we've gone down in such a short space of time so quickly. So that's maybe my slightly more nuanced perspective. And arguably that's a little bit impatient because if you wanted to be short, you could just short. And even if we went higher, you still wouldn't get liquidated if you used, I don't know, something reasonable like 3x leverage, probably. If we went back to 98 on Bitcoin, or something like that to test 100, I think we're going to test 100 again, and I think the test is going to fail. Is my short reading of the situation. So yeah, I maybe look to short again up as we test 100. And if we go lower from here without testing that, then it's like, okay, cool. Don't need to stress about it. I didn't lose money. And I wouldn't be, the amount that I would make from being short here wouldn't be material to be taking the risk of getting liquidated on the way back to 3.7 or something as Bitcoin goes back to 98 if it did that. So that's my thinking. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if there's any consensus when it comes to this kind of stuff at the moment, but I just wanted to share that because I think we've all gone through a bit of a tuition/learning process when it comes to the perp side. Curious for your thoughts on just like how I'm sketching out the, I guess, pretty short-term trader mindset at the moment. We're touching with Brett as well, and then we'll get to the main stuff today.
Yeah, could be the case like that. Yesterday, we've said that on Polymarket the odds are higher that we're not going to see a rate cut in December. That has flipped today. Now that is up 8% again, and I think odds are at 54% that we'll see a rate cut. The outlook is changing.
Just does not know.
Yeah, from day to day. But like the more concerning thing on that is that the tech stocks are still going down. They're going down a bit more significantly now. We're going to touch on that as well. Obviously, BTC is now strongly correlated with the downside of that. So if we were to retest 100K, I don't think we would be able to hold and defend that. But who knows with what's going on? It's such a volatile market, and this is why I'm having a hard time to make a short-term prediction. And this is why, as I said, I don't want to perp, and I'm very like comfy to chill in stables. Might miss some of the move down, might miss some of the move up, but frankly couldn't care about that because the signal is not strong enough for me to make massive moves at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. That's your perspective. Brett, final perspective from you before we get into the main stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not personally participating because I'm so busy, but when thinking about stuff that we have planned and what the general market appetite is, I think the general sense is, or if I were looking to participate now, it would be not trying to catch a falling knife. And I think stable farms are going to be the thing that of most interest for people over the next 3 to 6 weeks. Like no one is confident enough to buy a falling token. They just don't want it, which is probably why we're seeing a little bit of hesitation, we'll say, on the monad sale out the gate. And then, but like people are probably willing to play with their stables and get the most out of that. So people who have already sold off a little bit and are waiting to get back in or waiting for confirmation are going to look for opportunities to deploy stables and just get interest or other tokens on their stables. That's where I would be right now.
For sure. To the extent that people have stabled up, taking the risk off, and they want to do something with that capital, if indeed it
Still
stays
be productive. Yeah.
Yeah, if indeed stays in crypto, which a proportion of it always will. I know people will rotate out. Maybe they're going to put something in AI and whatever, and maybe you can long and short these tech stocks on Hyperliquid now as well. So yeah, sure, you can do that, but you still want to be farming on stables. And so the one counter, it's not really a counter because I'm agreeing with you that that's what people want to do. I think there's too many opportunities right now, but people will want like some more high trust opportunities. High trust opportunities, not like newer people wanting to attract your capital, not like very recently raising companies who are selling you a farm, something like slightly more established, very well backed. I think that's what people will be looking for. So I agree that that's going to be on the agenda. But look, guys, we've gone around. Glad we had that conversation, actually. articulated a few things I've been thinking about. But let's get into the main stuff today to get you up to speed with everything else you need to know in the last 24 hours. And then, of course, we're going to hit the headlines as usual. So starting with the price action, we are looking at Bitcoin here, which is pretty much just flat on the day, 91.3K. We've got ETH up 1%, back towards 3,100, not quite there. XRP is down a couple of percent to $2.10. BNB is flat around $921. Sol is flat around 138. We have Hyperliquid down 7% to $38. I believe there was some news yesterday where the board of one of the Hyperliquid DATs delayed a decision to December. Not Hyperion, the other one, the Bob Diamond one. Need to double check that. And I think, given that that is related to,
right? SONN.
That's the one. Yes. So that Son is that one, and I believe they delayed their decision to December, which I think people were thinking, right, this buy pressure is going to come in right now. So sold off a little bit there. Zcash is up 10% again to $626. So that is positive for the privacy story. On the meme coin side of things, we've got Doge up 1%, Pepe flat, Pump is down 1%, still down to 3 bill FDV though. Trump is flat, Pengu's flat, SPX is up 10%. So Fartcoin is up 1% as well. Okay, so things are pretty flat here. To be honest, everything's settled down a little bit today into their new price points, it feels like. Getting into the main headlines, which we will be getting into today. We're talking about crypto chopping. Bitcoin's at 91K. Legendary will take us through some of the key data points that we are looking at. We'll talk crypto exchange Kraken revealing a $20 billion valuation, raising $800 million with Citadel Strategic Investment. That is important to note. And then finally, all eyes will be on Nvidia earnings later today. Brad will take us through what we need to know there, and this deal that they seem to have struck with Microsoft and Anthropic, announcing a strategic partnership. So I think all of markets will be watching that call a little later. So we'll touch on that towards the end of the show. So notable price action. Stark is up 26%. ICP is down 13. Grass is up 14. Rect is up 22%, as Legendary mentioned, up from those big lows on the liquidation wick. And Hype is down 6%. Some notable sales, mainly just a CryptoPunk today selling for 117K. I did notice that Cyrus, very notable crypto trader and lender, managed to flip a Bored Ape that he had been lending against for a $24,000 profit. I think it sold for just under $100,000. One of the best Bored Apes in the collection. If you are still interested in the kind of grail NFTs. Getting into the roundup itself, Vitalik reveals privacy focus for Ethereum to bring privacy as a default on chain. Phantom announces trading terminal for desktop to trade everything, including perps. Believe that's still powered by Hyperliquid, right? Phantom perps is powered by Hyperliquid. So that's an interesting development. MegaETH announces mainnet launch in December. Maybe Brad can expand on that in just a second. PvP announces Hyperdash acquisition, leading analytics platform on Hyperliquid. Tether announces a strategic investment in Ledden, which is expanding the opportunities in Bitcoin-backed lending. I think that's going to be a big industry in the future. Something to note, if we're talking of stable farms, which Brad was saying, USDai will raise caps by $250 million today. So that is an opportunity for you to get exposure to that token if you believe that to be an opportunity. I'm going to consider that if I'm around for when the caps open. Coinbase shares December 17th announcement will include new product announcements, key business updates, and lots of other cool stuff. So I don't think that's going to be a base token announcement immediately. And then finally, as we said, Nvidia, Microsoft, and Anthropic announced strategic partnership. We'll touch on that in a bit. That is the roundup to get you up to with everything you need to know for today. Before we get to the main stuff, maybe if we go to Brad straight away, then we'll hear from Legendary what's catching his attention. Brad, we mentioned MegaETH announcing mainnet launch in December. What do we need to know about this? MegaETH Frontier release is how you've described it. What are some key takeaways for us?
Yeah, I'll start with the actual image itself. So many people don't realize this, but this is actually an image from Ethereum's original release. So it was an Ethereum Frontier release. Yeah, the safe decentralized software platform. This is their initial go live. So we took it and we twisted a little bit to be the next frontier, which is what we think MegaETH will be. So the program itself actually is going to mirror the ethos of that, which say like, guys, it's going to be a little bit of raw. The actual like full mainnet will come in December. That means users and applications, everyone can get in and play around and do what they want. But for us, the intention is to be builder focused, right? So it'll be for about a month. For the 4 weeks leading the initial date that it goes live, we will be focused on getting people in, getting their apps set up, getting things going. The actual rewards campaign that has been teased earlier in documents and Mika and our own releases, that won't turn on until January. So we have the first month to just say, hey, builders, get in, get ready. There's like figure out the quirks of your system, get it in place, and then we will bring in the users with incentivization come January. So just trying to make sure that everyone is approaching it the right way. They understand what they're getting into. People have the right expectations. And yeah, it'll kick off in December. So we're excited.
Exciting. So, okay. So, oh, hearing some feedback there. Yeah, that's strange. Yeah, Brett, I think you need to mute if you're not on, basically. Okay, so key takeaway: builders in from January, users who want to play around on Mega in from January. Sorry, the other way around. Builders in from December, users in from January.
Yeah, and it is open to anyone. So there is undoubtedly like people already like frankly like the people sniped the RPC last week, and there's already meme coins, there's already NFTs, there's already all this shit. So like it's already like there. We've buttoned down most of that, but it exists, and we are just now opening up the doors fully, so users will be able to get in, they'll be able to play. We're going to have a few people apps debut that should be fun, but we want just like to set expectations that you can come, you can play. Don't expect it to be a fully fledged experience. Give the ecosystem frankly a month to get in place, and then that's when all of the rewards campaign stuff will kick off. So users in January, as you said.
Awesome. And I don't know if you can say this or not, or maybe you've already been clear about this. Does mainnet going live in December mean TGE is in December as well?
Yeah, we haven't discussed the actual TGE date. As you guys know, we're L2, so the L2s don't have a immediate need for a token, so we have the flexibility to go day 1 or day 500. I know people had previously seen the information in the Mika paper, which said, I think it was January was going to be the initial distribution of the token. But again, even that, there's no confirmation of it. So no official dates. We will announce the date whenever we know it's there, though.
Excellent. Okay, so we'll keep on top of it. Looking forward to explore the frontier when you release. Ledge, any commentary there from you, or do you want to take us to anything else that's catching your attention in the market at the moment?
Definitely a follow-up question for Brett in terms of the entire ICO process. I think you guys have been spending time to find Sybils. How has all of that been going? How have the refunds, because I think refunds were ultimately not as high, was just a couple mil. How has all of that side been going?
Yeah, we'll actually have a post going out here in about an hour and a half, because today is actually the closing day of the contract. So if you guys remember the initial timeline, today is the last day. An hour and a half from now is the last moment where you could actually cancel your bid, right? If you were allocated tokens, you could cancel your bid, give up those tokens, and you can take all your dollars. We currently have roughly $2.25 million of tokens that were allocated to people that they have since canceled their bid, withdraw their USDT, and that amount is going to be redistributed to the rest of the pool. Now, we've actually already done most of that internally, but like we don't know how much is going to be given back to us until we actually close it. So like we've done a lot of work. We basically know what numbers we're going to have for redistribution, but we're going to close that off here in about an hour and a half. That will then kick off the next phase of, okay, now we know the final number that we can redistribute. We're going to redistribute that to the rest of the pool, and then that will officially be settled and start releasing funds will be kicked back to people this Friday. So that's still all on track. we'll have a post again today and Friday to kick off the next 2 phases. And then, you know, you may or may not have some other things planned to entice you people.
I like that.
Sounds good. Okay, so we'll keep an eye out for that. That's exciting stuff. We will, Ledge, if you're not going to bring anything up, I'm going to ask you directly then before we hit the main headlines. Thoughts on, what was I going to ask you about? Okay, this is the thing that I was thinking about. I think USDai to raise caps by 250 mil today. I think you said that you already have some exposure to this. Do you want more exposure to it? I have no exposure to it yet. I would have wanted to have it before. I need to look into the details to know, like, do I want the exposure this late in the day? Because I'm sure everyone else's points are worth far more. And the market's turned down since we last discussed. So what's your view here? And just maybe just give a quick summary of what people are getting into with this.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, this is a deposit for a synthetic dollar that is based on AI GPU compute. This is where the yield for that one is also coming from. So that is the risk that you're taking with this. It's been hugely popular in the past. Caps were at limit pretty fast, which led to that weird situation that it was super attractive to farm that on Pendle. And because no more USDA was coming, actually even the YT side of things went up in price. So you were able to farm points with a very high multiplier. I think it was 20-25x, something around that. Because so many more people wanted to do the same, you could sell that and flip it for profit instead of seeing it decay to 0 over time, which was what I did, and which is how I had accumulated points to the tune of tens of millions. I think I need to connect my ledger to tell you the exact number, which I can't do because I don't have it on me right now. But I did sell out of that because, again, that pendle pool was not supposed to go up in price, was supposed to go down. So I did realize the profit in that. As for now, I'm happy with my points. As you said, we have to probably tone down some of our airdrop expectations across the board. So I have no interest in depositing into USDai, not because I think it's not a cool product, but because I'm happy with what I have and the profit that I made on something that should not have been profitable. So I'm just going to wait and see what these points are going to do for me. And I'm not in the mood to lock up stables to deposit stuff right now. So I'm going to sit this one out. The only thing that where I want to put my stables in is what we spoke about yesterday, which is Aave app, where I am on the wait list. And as soon as I can get in there, and as soon as I can understand the terms of the balance protection and what exactly my yield will be, this is where I'm going to send a good amount of money into. But apart from that, I'm very happy. And yeah, not interested in depositing in USDI for all those reasons at the moment.
And bear in mind, so that's pretty much reflective of the state of the market, right? So you're saying don't need more exposure, don't want to lock up capital for a longer period of time based on where we are in the market. And also, so that move into Aave, for example, that's not okay, I'm farming an airdrop, right? Aave's token is out. That's there. You're not you're not trying to get exposure, double dip, triple dip into something there. You're just trying to earn respectable, solid yield from one of the best companies in crypto. And that's a reflection of where we are in the market. Where, like, I guess with a certain proportion of your portfolio, you're just like completely risk off and don't want the risk there. So interesting stuff. For me, just quickly before we get into the first headline, I need to look at USDA. I think the two reasons why I'm skeptical now. I'm just late, super late to it. I would have loved to have been in earlier. I think people who have more points will do well, I think. But for the same reason as you, like, I think it's late. You don't want to lock up loads of stable coins and something that when you're late to the party, I think. So I don't know. They're clearly doing very well.
Lockup period?
I mean, technically you can trade out of it as well, right? Ledge, there's liquidity, isn't there?
Yes, there's liquidity. I don't know how this deposit is going to work. I don't think they're going to lock it up for you, but still don't want to deposit into that.
Yeah, when we say lockup here, it's good question, Brad. Like, I think it's not a lockup. It's more like, well, if you're going to commit to it, then commit to it, right? You're not going to go in and farm like 7 points one day and then decide the next day you're out. Like, if you're going to commit to it, you're going to be in for the point season. Like locking in for the season until TG, I guess, would be the thinking. And I don't know, I think maybe we're just a bit late to the party at this point. But okay, so those are our thoughts there. Let's get into the main headlines as usual to get you up to speed with what we need to discuss today. Well, first, we're going to go to crypto chop continuing. You know, Bitcoin's still at 91K. Things seem to be settling in this region. Legendary, tell us what we need to know. What are your thoughts? What are the data points we are interested in?
Yep. I want to start with, again, the Bitcoin ETFs. Just to say, we've seen another day of outflows bigger than the previous day yesterday, 372 mil. And at this price range, what is really interesting is that is the 91K is roughly the average entry of people who are buying or who have bought the BTC ETFs. And Yahoo Finance had this, let me see, had this article where they took this chart from Bloomberg, where basically everything is indexed at 0 at the start of the year in terms of returns. They've been looking at Bitcoin, NASDAQ, 20-year Treasury bonds, gold, US Utilities Index, and MSCI Emerging Markets Index. And it's not looking good for Bitcoin at the moment because Bitcoin is literally underperforming everything else. Like from the start of the year to now, you would have made more money with Treasury bonds than with BTC, obviously, if you did not take profits around this range. So that as an indicator, or that as a chart is honestly a bit surprising to see. I would have not expected to be better off with 20-year Treasury.
Yeah, that's not good.
See, that is not good. And again, it's also at this point where when we dipped under 90K, the average ETF buyer started to be underwater. Now they're like pretty much at 0 or a bit below that. So yeah, the question which we've been asking still remains: who is the next marginal buyer? What could resume some upwards momentum? And what certainly is not helpful is if we take a look at the equity side of things, tech stocks are not looking good. This is Finviz, which I'm sharing on screen, which I've been sharing quite frequently over the last couple of weeks or so. We see Nvidia down 3%, Amazon down 4.5%, Microsoft down 2.7%, Palantir down 2.2%. So tech stock, AMD down even more, 4%. Micron Technology down 5.5%. So tech stocks are suffering at the moment, which is not instilling a lot of hope for BTC in the short term. I think what will be important, and obviously it's also a headline for the day, is what Nvidia's earnings call will bring in terms of news today. But right now, it's not looking good.
Brad, are you by any chance ready for that segment already? Because I think we probably need to go to that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it lines up. I can hop in.
Let's do it. Because I think, as Legendary mentioned, going to Nvidia now, so going to the third headline for the day in advance of the second, is probably the better one to go to. Everything's kind of being seen through the lens of this earnings thing happening. So tell us about what we need to know from the earnings perspective, Brad, and also this partnership that they have announced, where it seems like the money just keeps going between them, all of these big companies. So what do we need to know here?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a Ouroboros going on with all these. And I was aware of the meme about it, but I had not actually seen any of the details. So this one is very, very much on topic with that. So the headline is Nvidia, Microsoft, and Anthropic partnership ahead of Nvidia earnings today. And the TLDR is that Nvidia committed up to $10 billion and Microsoft up to $5 billion to into Anthropic, which is the creator of Claude. The partnership aims to reduce Microsoft and Nvidia's reliance on OpenAI. And this is Anthropic's business has boomed thanks to its enterprise focus. So one of the key details from this that I was not aware of is that basically there's a little bit of a diversification in these relationships where Microsoft had previously had a pretty strong relationship with OpenAI, but OpenAI has recently, within the past I don't know, a few weeks, months, announced $38 billion of deals to buy cloud services from Amazon and to reduce the reliance on Microsoft. So this is something of a shot across the bow, or I guess it would be the follow-up of the shot across the bow, where Microsoft is investing in the competitor to OpenAI, which is Claude, and Claude is reciprocating by saying they will use Microsoft's cloud services. So it's a little bit of a commingling of services where you have these infrastructure providers of this cloud computing software or services, which is Microsoft, which is Amazon, and then you have the AI or the LLM producers that require that those services, and they're just divesting from each other and finding better partners and dancing amongst each other. A lot of dollars flying back and forth.
Indeed. Okay, so I'm just looking at the article as well, and just for some additional context, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella said, "We're increasingly going to be customers of each other." Very diplomatic. We will use Anthropic models. They will use our infrastructure, and we'll go to market together. He added that OpenAI remains a critical partner. I think you're right to distinguish between Anthropic seems to be far more successful on the commercial side. ChatGPT and OpenAI seems to, and you can tell this just in the verb, right? In the same way that Google became a verb to search for something, to use AI on the retail side has quite quickly become to ChatGPT something. Just like use ChatGPT, ChatGPT this. So I think that's the correct distinction. Ledge, do you have a view on how all these funds are kind of moving in with each other and to what extent that impacts Nvidia? Nvidia seems to be the one that is, would I be right in inferring Nvidia seems to be on this least, well, I'm going to say least concerned in the sense that they're at the top of the chain and everyone needs them. Whether Microsoft needs OpenAI or whether Microsoft needs Anthropic, that's like kind of up for debate. Everyone needs Nvidia, and yet they are still pumping their own funds into those companies, I guess on the expectation that those funds are going to come straight back to them to keep financing their insatiable demand for compute anyway. So what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's interesting because Nvidia historically has been the exception to the rule, that when in the last quarters we've seen chip manufacturers beating basically earning reports, it was a bit of a like top-ish sell the news event, but Nvidia marched higher and higher and higher, and it is definitely impacting other markets as well. Like we've seen even for European stocks a tech sell-off happening at the start of this week, which now has actually slowed down. It's like still going on, but it's losing steam in basically awaiting what's coming out of Nvidia. And if you look at the broad analyst opinions on Wall Street, consensus is that they're going to beat, that they're going to have a good earnings call. They're going to beat expectations. So still the entire market, I would say, is looking to what Nvidia is doing, and even sectors that you would not expect to be depending on that are kind of depending on it at the moment, because it carries obviously as like the largest company now in the world and basically the flagship company when it comes to all things AI. It carries a lot of weight over to other industries as well.
Are you taking a specific view here, like, or are you just sitting it out? Like in the same way I kind of tapped out on the perp side, being like, look, guys, I don't know. And the risk reward at this specific point for Bitcoin and ETH is not good enough in either direction, frankly, for me to want to go in either direction. Like as it was much higher, I thought, okay, the risk reward here is better for shorting this asset. Now I don't see that. I mean, stocks haven't had the same pullback in the same way. So are you taking a specific view on these big tech assets, Legendary?
I'm still holding Nvidia, but I also have been holding it for a while. Really hoping that the stock's going to do well today, because I think that is going to matter a lot. I think pre-market for Nvidia, when I checked, looked good as well. So that would be, nope, that's the wrong link. That would be really, really nice to see a good earnings call. Yes, pre-market sees Nvidia up almost 2%, up 1.74%, which is almost enough to reverse the 2.8% that was down yesterday. So I'm really hoping for a good earnings call and
just check the month there for us there, Ledge, because I know it's up a couple of percent, but it's been in a bit of a
over the month. It's pretty flat. It's just down 1%.
Sure, but it went as high as 200 something, now back down to 180. So been I don't know,
we went to 212 as
so like
high.
more than a 10% correction, like intra month. In that respect. So it has like kind of sold off a bit, but as we say, it's just so hard to call this market at the moment in a meaningful way. I think it's just time. I think the best way to think about it is how we discussed it earlier. Like there will be times when it will make sense with a risk reward will make sense to go long or short, whether that's, with perps or whether you just want to buy some spot, but it'll be very like position dependent. And entry dependent. Like it will matter whether you get in at 200 or 180, particularly on the perp side. But okay, so those are some thoughts there. Why don't we get to the final headline for today then, which is to do with Kraken. This is pretty big, guys. I've actually got some bigger thoughts here that I wanted to share. I shared in a different private chat, not the Modern Market Telegram group, but a different one the other day. So I want to attach that to my thoughts here on Kraken because it relates to another big exchange. So this is news. Kraken's valuation hit $20 billion following Citadel's strategic investment as the exchange pushes towards an IPO. So this includes $800 million across 2 different tranches and includes that significant investment from Citadel. So just for further context, primary tranche was led by institutional investors, including Jane Street, DWR Ventures, HSG, Oppenheimer, and Tribe. And they were in talks to raise 200 to 300 million from a strategic investor. Fortune was first to report on Tuesday's raise. And so this is pretty big, I think. It seems the firm said it earned, just in terms of revenue, the firm said it earned $472 million in revenue in the first quarter of 2025, up 19% from the prior year. Among cryptocurrency exchanges with USD support, Kraken generated $40.5 billion in trading volume last month. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on this. I think Kraken is pretty strong. Like I like Kraken. I think they do a good job. They've also recently started to participate in the ICO kind of crossover. I know they did something with Legion in the same way that Coinbase is doing this thing with Monad, and they just bought out Echo and Sonar. They're also like intending to expand into the ICO season and to capture that side of economic activity. But what do we think in terms of the valuation? I just want to pull up, Ledge, if you can, the Coinbase valuation at the moment, because I feel like these are the 2 real options for people when they're looking at exchanges, at least in the West. I don't know how much. I think Binance US is back, for example, but I think Binance is still blocked all over Europe. I think that's right. Or maybe Ledge, you have, okay, just the UK then, as usual. Just the UK. But obviously Binance doesn't trade, so we don't have like a good comparison from that perspective. Gemini does trade, and maybe it's worth just having a look there as a comparison as well, although I think that's doing much worse, and maybe rightly so. They had the debt issues from the last cycle, which I don't know how perfectly they resolved those. But what are we looking at here, Ledge? What's the valuation on Coinbase? Market cap, 70 bill?
70 bill at the moment, yeah.
70 bill. Okay, so I mean, I guess maybe this is as much about Kraken as it is about Coinbase. The point that I was making earlier today in a different chat, or yesterday, is that I'm just not certain that Coinbase is doing as excellent a job as it's supposed to be doing. Like, I think in the variety of ways they've tried to enter different product lines, I don't think they've done it particularly well. We spoke about, okay, this is the NFT marketplace maybe is small business for them compared to other things. That didn't go well. Remember, we spoke on the show quite a lot about how is Coinbase perps going to take over Hyperliquid? We actually put it as a headline. It's going to be a big deal. All the people doing perps in the US are going to use Coinbase perps. It's like, that did not happen. Hyperliquid is like, we basically forgot about that. I don't know about that product at the moment. Maybe some people are using it. And then on the other side, I just think you have this issue for Coinbase, which is a worldwide reputation of not doing customer support. And it's kind of plainly obvious in public when one of the most prominent crypto investors, traders, builders now, Kobe, who has sold Echo and Sonar to Coinbase, is doing the public, the customer support for you in public on the timeline in front of everyone, which in some ways great. You've got this asset now in this individual who's going to do this hard work for you, but it's kind of damning, right? It's kind of damning for a company that has that much, has such a high valuation and is usually held in such high stock, to have executed in this way for such a long time and to seemingly not care at all about people having funds locked in there, accounts frozen, money just swirling around, not being able to get access to for some people months and months, for some people years, is my understanding. And I don't know, I just, if Coinbase is 70, I think Kraken at 20 is actually pretty good. I'm not saying buy it on IPO because I haven't looked at the details of when people are going to be able to sell. But I guess what I'm saying is, if that's the standard, if Coinbase is the standard and it's at 70, I don't know if, and maybe they do bigger numbers, right? But based on all of this other stuff, I would like Kraken at 20 is my thinking. Ledge, coming to you for your thoughts, and then want to hear from Brett as a maybe not Coinbase holder anymore. I can't remember, but I'd be curious to update that position.
I think people are widely underestimating Kraken in terms of the very good reputation that they have, in terms of the volumes that they do. Even comparing it to Gemini. I mean, Gemini is maybe a bit of a hard comparison, but ultimately it is an exchange that also IPO'd, and Gemini has been doing pretty horrible. They did IPO at $28. It did go as high as $46, but ever since it has been down only. Gemini is down to $12, basically eradicated more than half of its worth since it IPO'd. It's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. So it's down over the last 6 months. It's down 67%. Even before the IPO, at some point, Gemini was valued at 7.1 bill, but it did IPO at 3.1 bill, and now they're down to 1.4 bill. So it's not looking good at all for Gemini. And I don't know what it means for Kraken. And again, in this market, I'm not one who wants to buy the IPO necessarily, but I do think that many people are underestimating how good Kraken as a exchange and business is, and how reliable it is.
Yeah, I just think it's a good business. I think, and this is purely as a user. I think they do it well, and I think in comparison, there are aspects of the business where Coinbase do it really poorly. And therefore, purely on that basis, I haven't looked at the numbers. Maybe Coinbase makes tons more money. I know they've got that relationship with Circle as well, which prints them money as well. But by the way, what are these low float, high FDV charts that we're looking at on multi-billion-dollar companies, right? IPO at 26, pushes up to 46, and then down only. Does that sound familiar at all? Brad, coming to you here as a maybe former Coinbase holder. I can't remember if you're still as long coin as you were before. Curious for your thoughts in this kind of crypto exchange valuation conversation.
Yeah, I've rotated most of my coin to alternative assets, combination of Robinhood, and we did a little bit of Hype D, and then we did a little bit of what's the recent one that we were getting in on? So it's something else with a G Galaxy. So most of my stuff is in those. My general commentary on you guys is that, like, bro, they're not going to price this shit on customer support, and maybe they have good customer support because they're not working anywhere else. So for me to accurately like look at this and say whether it's a buy at 20 bills or whatever, I need to see the data and like how much these things are actually like making, because that's what the market is going to price them on. I don't know that there's enough FOMO in the market for just like pure crypto play that everything's going to get bid up the way that it did for Circle and everything else. So I'm not willing to just hop into something because it's the next crypto IPO. I need to see that it's actually a company that is accurately priced or mispriced.
So that part of what you said, I completely agree with. I definitely don't think it's, we're past the point where it's like, look, this is a hot IPO. And it's got something to do with the crypto, therefore it's going to pump, right? That's not the case anymore. We've had a few of these already. Gemini came out. Circle Ledge, if you want to bring that chart up, this is a crime on a chart. If you're talking about low float, high FDV ones, look at this chart come out of the gate, shoot up to above $250. From 30, was it IPO'd at? I remember 30, straight up to 250, and this, and then all the way back down to 76 now. So look, you're completely right when you say that, Brad. Like, look, I think that speculative energy has been spent, and people enjoyed that, and now it's just about finding the good business that makes money, and you can analyze it maybe in a more fundamental way. And I actually take your point. I don't think my commentary on the customer support is entirely meaningful when it comes to these types of valuations here, right now. But I would say in my short span as an investor, I'm increasingly like learning what works for me and learning what I think makes sense, what doesn't make sense. And sometimes I try to abstract all the numbers. I think there's like an over intellectualization of the whole industry, frankly, when it comes to macro analysis, when it comes to crypto analysis. Sometimes this stuff is just down to flows. Sometimes this stuff is just down to product. Sometimes it's just down to like, okay, this founder is amazing. He won't quit. He or she won't quit. And they just keep building it in an amazing way. And I just think if the product doesn't work, I can't invest in it. I don't care about the numbers. Honestly, that's what that would be my rebuttal to your fair point, because I think your point is still fair. But it's kind of like, I don't know if you saw this, Brad, but we were talking about pump numbers the other day. And again, this is in the face of numbers, right? But my position on pump is I don't know anyone using pump. So, and I think when people say, well, Hyperliquid's trading at this, pump is trading at this, like what's the difference? I don't think the market believes those numbers. It doesn't matter. Like, you're not on pump. Legendary's not on pump. Everyone in our Telegram's not on pump. So who's on pump? I don't know. I don't know who's on it. So the numbers can say whatever they want, but I don't know if they're all to be taken with equal weighting. And that's my final thought. I want to give you a chance to come back on that, Brad, and then we'll close out for the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. Like it is flows, it is vibes, it is FOMO. Like if there are humans doing this stuff, and there's a lot of psychology to it, as much as there are like literal numbers. Some stuff is short term, some stuff is long term. I think, yeah, I mean, there's just no one way to do it. I don't buy just because there's no pump users, that's why pump thing's getting murdered. I think that is their current price action is very fundamental because it's based on the durability of the fees. So people can see the numbers, they can believe the numbers, but they can go, I don't believe that the numbers are long-term, right? And so like the numbers can all be there, but people just don't believe it's an investable asset because of what it's built upon. So yeah, point taken, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair as well. There's like a growth aspect to it as well, right? Okay, good stuff, guys. That's great conversation as usual. Just a reminder, we do this every single day, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern time, live on X video, YouTube, and you can catch us on Apple and Spotify podcasts if you prefer that as well. Thank you to my co-hosts, as always, Legendary and Bread. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Take care. See you on the other side. Bye-bye.